What's up, guys? This is Rise, and in today's video, we are going through Yakai's run in an 8-pack preseason tournament where he was able to deliver the goods with his signature Guzzlord pick. Now, if you're not familiar with Yakai, he has long been a terrific battler in the communities from Hong Kong, and to give you a little background of how successful he's been, if you go to dracoviz.com, Dracoviz is a new great resource to get information about Play Pokemon regional tournaments, what's going on in the community, and if you actually can search certain players, and if you search Yakai, he was a competitor in Worlds this past year, and also he is just such a dominant GBL player. Had a peak rating of number 8 this past season, and if I scroll back, ranked 26 the season prior, ranked 7 the season prior, ranked 2 the season prior. I feel like he's hit number 1, and there you have it. Season 11, he hit number 1 in the Go Battle League. So just a tremendous GBO player that also has been able to translate his success to the Show 6 Pick 3 format, and that's what we are going to witness here in this video. So back to the footage. Round number 1, his opponent is by the name of Christine, and if we take a look at these teams real quick, Yakai is running a team consisting of several meta picks, primarily Medicham, Lantern, Superior, probably the 3 most common Pokemon in the meta right now, along with Lickitung. Frostlass, kind of a secondary meta pick, and then Guzzlord, really the off meta pick that you're not going to see too often. And I think Guzzlord is a smart pick because it does really well with that dragon type against all the elemental types. So Lanterns, Superior, and that dark type helps it against things like Umbreon, against things like Lickitung. And it's quite bulky. It's one of the bulkier dragons, which gives it some play. Opponent is running a pretty standard team. And does anything look like it spells trouble from Yakai? That Venusaur is a little scary. Your only real answer is the Guzzlord and the Frostlass, I guess, but Frostlass does not want to take a Frenzy Plant still. And, yeah, I guess the Umbreon is relatively safe depending on his Medicham moveset. But without further ado, let's get into the battles. Game number 1 against Christine. Going to leave Guzzlord into Medi. Safe swap Superior. And yeah, I like that safe swap because there's nothing that really comfortably handles it from Christine's team. Gligar's probably the most comfortable answer, and or maybe Venusaur. But of course, Superior can fight back against those 2 Pokemon. Christine elects to chip and then dip into the Lickitung. Gonna have to eat a Frenzy Plant here. Body Slam should threaten to KO. Nice overfarm, throwing Body Slam before the next Frenzy. This is coming through and going to knock out Serp. Now going to come in with Guzz. And this is where Guzzlord is going to shine. I could see Yakai going for an entire farm down here. We'll take another Body Slam in the process, but it's going to have quite a bit of energy to threaten whatever comes in. May even be willing to throw a immediate Dragon Claw. And here we go. Move coming through from Yakai. I believe that is Brutal Swing as opposed to Crunch. And the Medicham is rocking Dynamic Punch here in the mirror match. So I think that looked like an Ice Punch. And oh my gosh, they swapped in the Umbreon. So they're probably hoping Yakai does not have DP, but there it goes. And there it lands. And suddenly this looks like a rough situation for the opponent. Now if you're Yakai, do you expend the energy here to avoid another foul play? Looks like that's what he's going to do. Throwing the Ice Punch here. Will this threaten to knock out? It does knock out. And now you have a health advantage and you have a move loaded on your Guzzlord. So I think Yakai's in a good spot. Combo play here. Move coming through. And yeah, it's definitely the Brutal Swing animation. The Crunch is like a pretty obvious crunch, right? So there we have it. And game number 2, not where Yakai wants to be. Umbreon is a very solid response to Lickitung. So Lickitung's one of the most common safe swaps in the meta. Umbreon, besides being a bulky generalist, I think this is where Umbreon shines as a punish to the Lickitung safe swap, because Lickitung is not going to flip this matchup really in any scenario. Doesn't matter if you land a Power Whip, and Umbreon doesn't like need to bait or anything with its moveset. You just go straight foul play. It's basically two Pokemon throwing neutral moves at each other, but one is spamming a little faster and one has resisted fast move damage. So Licky just gets outpaced. Another Body Slam coming through, and I mean, Licky holding its own as I say that. But I think they have double foul play for sure. Yeah, I think maybe they were almost... Okay, maybe they were letting themselves get low, but in the process of doing that, they are going to lose Switch because Yakai was willing to expend one shield. In comes Gligar, and getting off this Body Slam is pretty massive. This is some solid chip damage. You come in with Guzzlord here. Probably going to go for the dig here since a shield has already been expended, but Guzzlord can take it. No, they actually just went for Aerial Ace. Yakai going to go for the Claw here. Guzzlord is so massive. He takes up like half the screen. Look how much the camera has to pan out to show Guzzlord. Will we see a shield come up? We will not, and it's another Aerial Ace. Now, this is awkward. Yeah, I think the shield makes sense because I don't know if you could counter down before another Aerial Ace. But look at this. Gets the farm down, comes out with a ton of energy, and the patience to do another Dragon Tail. Now has double Claw and has the Median back. After the second Claw lands, I think the counters might be enough. I don't think Yakai's going to even need to throw a charge move here unless Lickitung gets to double Body Slam. If Lickitung gets to double Body Slam, that should be enough to knock out. It's going to be close. Lickitung does get there. But no, actually, Medi, a little healthier than I thought it'd be. Able to take it. One more counter does the trick. And that is 2-0 for Yakai. This is game number 3. And in this tournament league format, I believe they play 3 games no matter what. So this is like the first round. If you guys ever played Sylph in the past, RIP Sylph, it was the same sort of thing. Even if someone was up 2-0, you still played the third game. So Guzzlord, exactly where it wants to be here against Venu. Gonna be willing to double shield and come out of this matchup super duper healthy. Super healthy. Looking to pivot potentially right away. And oh my gosh, what? It must be Lantern in the back? No, okay, it's Gligar. Oh, okay, I guess they felt like Gligar in the back was kind of their win con because it core breaks the back line, but I mean, that Lickitung just not going to have any play in the situation with the Guzzlord and the Medicham still lurking. So it's like a very dominant win we're about to see here from Yakai in game number 3. Aerial Ace knocks out, of course. Going to overfarm here, on point with his energy management. And we can even fast forward that one a little bit as a pretty dominant showing in game number 3 from Yakai. This sets him up with a date in round number 2 with Wazlas. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. And look at that. They've got a very unique team consisting of Quagsire, Noctowl, Shadow Alolan Ninetales, Dunsparce, Gligar, and another Shadow Venusaur. Now, do any of these Pokemon spell trouble? I was thinking myself, because Noctowl has really been relinquished from the meta since the Sky Attack nerf, a lot of teams kind of disrespect Noctowl, in which case it can actually put in some work, I think, still. But it does take it a little bit longer to get to its Sky Attack now, which is significant. Dunsparce we saw quite a bit last season because it really broke up the Trev, Noctowl, Lantern core. But now you're not really seeing any Noctowl or Trev, at least very often. Although the Ninetales literally just won a regional with Patoman. And let me know if you guys want to see a recap of that in the comments as we're showcasing some tournament formats and tournament gameplay. And then, of course, Gligar, pretty common, and Shadow Venusaur. We'll see right away the moveset on this A9, and it is Charm. I think Charm 9 is really solid right now in the meta. I've definitely been thinking about running it myself, but now that Patoman just won a tournament with it, I think people are also going to be running it. Here we see Guzzlord against the Dunsparce. Guzzlord just going to chunk away more with this fast move damage. I would think has the advantage in this matchup. As you see, 2 drill runs, not enough to knock out. Throwing on charge move priority to force the opponent to make a decision. Do you shield? Do you let it go? They're forced to let it go. Guzzlord, not going to live the charm. Yeah, double super effective charms. Makes sense. And this is a water gun lantern for Yakai. So you trade a little bit of energy gain for more fast move pressure. Well, actually, I'm not sure if that's true necessarily. Because Spark with the energy nerf and the damage buff might actually still do more. Not sure on that one. Gonna try and chip this 8 out as much as possible. Opponent might have been able to get the charm down there, but they got a little bit nervous. And they throw energy, and this game is just over. Frost Slash up a shield, so dangerous, and especially against a flying type. Boom! Big damage. Noctowl gonna throw the Shadow Ball as a Hail Mary win con if Yakai tries to flex the shield. And gonna actually get to an Avalanche here to finish things off. The Ice Queen, Frostlass. I know a favorite Pokemon from many in the community. And it's very strong. It's very strong. Tough lead, game number 2 for Yakai. He's ABA weak to the Alolan Ninetales. Gonna go for the Avalanche bait. This Avalanche bait allows Yakai to actually reach the Shadow Ball, I believe, if the opponent throws their Weather Ball. So yeah, they throw the Weather Ball. Yakai is going to be able to do 1 Powder Snow and throw Shadow Ball here. And this would pretty much knock out the Alolan Ninetales if it lands. Yeah, the next Powder Snow did the trick. And this is where Water Gun Lantern is really nice to have over Spark Lantern. Going to be much more reliable in this Gligar matchup. Assumingly going for the dig to some big damage. They try to catch onto Quag. It's met by Medi. And, I mean, this is a relatively neutral matchup, especially with a couple Mudshot head start there. Quag might be able to win this, but the thing is, even if Quag wins this, it's not going to have much health left. I don't think. So I feel like Yakai's in a good spot. Is he going to bait? No, he's not going to bait. He's going to go for Dynamic. And we don't see a shield. I think that's game. Because now you get off the Ice Punch. That will draw the final shield from the Gligar. And you have a Surf loaded. So you can just afford to let your Medi go. Oh, Medi actually gets to another Ice Punch. Look at that. I wonder if the IVs on Yakai's Medi, if it's a high rank one as opposed to like the Axon Medi. Would be interesting to know. Game number 3, Licky versus Charm9. I consider this good for Licky. Because a high rank Licky will reach 3 body slams here. And after all these licks add up, seems pretty good. But Yakai not going to bother shielding. Feels like shield advantage is better for him. And I mean, if you take a look at his opponent's team, shield advantage Frostlass is really nice. Does not want to give this Quagsire too much of a head start. So instant swaps the Frostlass. You kind of have to respect the Stone Edge, but a nice Mud Bomb bait from the opponent. And suddenly Yakai seems a little bit behind here. Especially if the opponent gets another bait, they should be able to just simply outpace the Frostlass. That was a charge move priority. Avalanche coming through, connects on the Quag. Will this be the Stone Edge? Will it be a Mud Bomb bait? It is a Stone Edge. It connects. And this very well might come down to whatever the third Pokemon is for the opponent. Oh, wow. Show and go. The Peekaboo play, catching the Mud Bomb. That's huge. Now Quag won't get to another move, but it's the Venusaur anyway. It is a shiny Venusaur. And, yeah, not much Lantern can do here. Yakai's just going to resign, take the Frenzy Plant, but he still takes the round 2-1. And is 3-0 going into this next round, where he plays the Yup family, a girl from Singapore who we've actually featured on the channel multiple times. Terrific, tremendous battler, running the common Wadage line of Medi, Umbreon Lantern, Superior, Gligar, Frostlass. Most meta team right now in Show 6 Pick 3. And let's see how Yakai's able to handle it. Licky into Medi. Round number 1, or game number 1, I should say. Round number 3. I'm not 100% sure if this was an open team sheet format. I would think it's not, considering that first round And also the no shield here. I would think this is probably closed team sheet when this took place. Medicham against the Lantern. Neutral matchup here. Dynamic Punch is kind of nice for Lantern just because it hits a little bit harder than Psychic in neutral matchups. You also pace to that second one counter quicker. So even though it's like a slightly less energy move and it does a little bit more damage, I still consider Dynamic Punch Medi better for the Lantern matchup. Swaps in Frost, but this is kind of awkward, man, because this is not a comfortable Powder Snow down. You're probably going to have to throw Avalanche, so I wouldn't have hated to see Yakai stay in with the Medi for longer. Gonna take the Surf here. Gonna go for the Avalanche. Does the Yup family let this go? She does, and there's an Umbreon in back. Okay, felt like he needed to preserve the Medi for this Umbreon, I guess. Lands the Avalanche. Cannot swap out yet, but now you can swap, and if they take this Avalanche, suddenly the counters are going to be super threatening. Umbreon is 3 away from the next move. Oh, that's a go, and it's a last resort. I guess felt like taking the foul play was the win con. And then maybe you live the snarls. By the way, credit to the Yup family. What a high IQ play there to go for the last resort, expecting Yakai to call the foul play. Holy guacamole. Okay, so lost the lead. Safe swaps the Superior, is met by Umbreon. And this is not a comfortable matchup for Umbreon. Superior, especially up energy, I would think, is going to win this. And Yakai is going to be able to realign things to his liking. I believe swapped... Oh, yeah, it was Water Gun into Sparks. That's why he swapped out. And now is probably going to be able to align his Guzzlord with the Lantern. Does let in a free Snarl here, so the Yup family might be willing to commit a shield. Does commit a shield. Going to try and fight for Switch here. And Yakai knows he needs Switch to flip this game. Umbreon gets to another. But yeah, going to be willing to go down a shield, because if you get Guzz onto the Lantern, you're in a good spot. Uh-oh. Looks like Lantern really has nowhere to go. But Superior going to be able to get off another Aerial Ace to chip. That looked like it might have been CMP. No, it wasn't. I'm tripping. Hard swaps in Guzz here. I don't know if I love this play. Oh, interesting. I think this might be a mistake by the Yup family, because I think if you saved the Frenzy for the Lantern... Oh, the Yup family was switch locked. I see now. The Yup family was switch locked. They actually switched out. The Umbreon didn't go down. That's my mistake. Comments freaking out. Right, they switched out. They were switch locked. That's why they didn't do that. I got it now. We're all on the same page. And this Guzzlord going to get in some really massive chip damage. And you actually still have that Superior as a potential catch if you need it. But I don't think it's even necessary, to be honest. I don't think Lantern's getting to double Thunderbolt. And Thunderbolt plus Surf is not going to be enough. Let's see how this plays out. Going for the Water Gun down. Gets it. And, yeah, no catch necessary. As Yakai able to take game number 2. That's 1-1, I believe. Wins the lead hard. Serp into Lantern. Met by the Medicham swap. And does not have Frost Slash in the back. So it doesn't have like an obvious punish to the Medicham. Gonna stay in here. Went for the Aerial Ace first. Kind of risky, but I guess has faith as Superior wins CMP against Medi. Another Ice Punch coming through. Gonna see a shield. Gonna try and win alignment, because he does not want his Water Gun Lantern on the Spark Lantern. He wants to keep Guzzlord on that. The Yup family gonna double shield to take Switch. And yeah, now you come in with Serp, but if we look at the Yup family's team, once the Medi is out of the picture, Guzzlord kind of goes off. Guzzlord kind of destroys when Medi's out of the picture. And here's the Frost Lass. And I mean, if it was the zero shield scenario, the Yup family would have this, but this Guzzlord has a shield. And Brutal Swing is going to be enough to knock out, and that Lantern is going to have a very difficult time taking out this Guzzlord. Brutal Swing KOs. There is about a 60% Guzzlord against a fully healthy Lantern. Go for the Brutal Swing because it does more raw damage. And you're going to need double Surf to knock out here if you're the Yup family. First Surf comes through. Goes for another Brutal Swing. This is going to put the Lantern so low to the point where I think he has this. Nearly KOs. The next Dragon Tail does the trick. And that is another win for Yakai. 3-0 in this 6-round tournament. Next opponent is Willy. And Willy is running Charge Bug. So a lot of the same Pokemon we've seen in the previous teams, but running Charge Bug. And I think Alolan Sandslash making its first appearance in this video. Charge Bug, by the way, a little bit concerning for Yakai's team. I mean, it beats Medi, it beats Superior, it has X-Scissor coverage for Guzzlord, and then it's kind of neutral-ish against the 3 on the right, Lantern. Since it's Water Gun Lantern, I think Water Gun Lantern can win that. Lickitung usually wins even shields, I believe. I think Charge Bug might win the 2 shield scenario. And then Frost Slash is kind of bait dependent, I believe. If you can bait an X-Scissor, you can probably win that matchup. So Charge Bug a little bit concerning for Yakai's team, but here in game number 1, immediately in a great spot. Able to counter the Medicham swap with his Frost Slash. And that looked like it was a Ice Punch bait. So if the opponent can double bait here and land a Psychic, suddenly could be not so nice. But opponent's just willing to take the shield advantage instead. And what is going to come in to greet the Frost Slash? It is the Sand Slash. But here's the thing. I mean, with alignment, bro. Medicham aligned with the Sand Slash. Not a lot the opponent's going to be able to do. They shield the Shadow Ball. And oh my gosh, Frost Slash hangs on to get to another Shadow Ball. Credit to the overfarm against the Medicham. That was massive. They'll be able to chip with a charge move here, but this just is so far ahead for Yakai. They actually get 2 charge moves off. And this is just game over. So they were ABA weak to Medi, I guess. Interesting line. And going to catch on Licky. Makes sense, right? You know your opponent's probably going to throw after 1. Oh, okay. Okay, I think this... Yakai told me he lost the recording for like maybe the latter 2 games of this set. So now the latter 2 games are from the opponent's perspective. So now we're seeing game number 2, but this is from his opponent Willy's perspective. So Yakai is the opposing trainer from this perspective. And we're going to see the swap into Umbreon met by Medicham. Going for the Last Resort first. Now, this kind of makes sense because Last Resort puts it more so into double foul play range. And not going to shield, so not going to respect that Dynamic Punch. Boom. And immediately, this is kind of brutal. Especially because it's Water Gun Lantern. That's a little bit worse for Sandslash. If it was Spark, maybe a little bit more manageable. But the Water Guns just chip away. At least it feels that way against Sandslash. More than the Sparks do. Ice Punch connects. This Medi's going to be so low. But should have Ice Punch plus Dynamic. So might be willing to throw a blind Dynamic here against the Lantern. That's exactly what we're going to see. Kind of have to dip out immediately. And this Lantern held on to its energy. So this is not going to be fun for A-Slash. A-Slash puts up a Protect Shield. Going to be farming up. And oh man. Yeah, this is brutal. A-Slash trying its best, and it's a Lickitung in the back, so just a very tough game there at number 2. And here we have game number 3. Charge Bug into Guzzlord. Not the best matchup for Charge Bug, not the worst. X-Scissor does hurt quite a bit. Throws on proper timing. Has a ton of energy here, but like, are you willing to overfarm more? No, yeah. I kind of like just throwing this to put the pressure on the Guzzlord first. Gets both shields, but now you kind of have to shield. The question is, do you outpace to the next one, or does Guzz get there first? Oh, wow. Great patience to not blind throw that right away. Saving that X-Scissor is massive. Absolutely massive. Now, will we see him go for the Frenzy here or settle for the Aerial Ace? Frenzy might come down to CMP, so going to play it safe and go for the Aerial Ace instead. I think Medi lives, though, and Medi gets off the Ice Punch. So I think if you're Willy, you probably... Oh, okay. I was going to say... I guess it didn't really matter. That is tough. Because even if you win Switch, I mean... I think you just sack the Guzz against the Charge Bug. Okay. Pretty dominant round 4 there for Yakai. This moves us to round number 5 where we get a sneak peek. There's a Skeledirge on the screen. And perhaps the spiciest team we've seen yet. Skeledirge, Shadow Dragonair, Clodsire, along with Shadow Venu, Shadow A-Slash, and Medicham. Unreal Spice team. Some people are very weak to Skeledirge with their teams right now, with Medi, Superior, Frostlass, and I mean, we see those 3 teams here on Yakai's team. So the Skeledirge is literally like hit or miss. Oh my gosh, and look at the line that Yakai runs game 1. He ran his three Skeledirge counters all together, saying, get that thing out of here. This Skeledirge has nowhere to go. However, Lickitung's charge moves don't threaten Skeledirge, so at least it can stay in here and chip away. So I guess not the worst matchup in the world for Skeledirge. Going for the Power Whip here. This won't knock out, but it'll put it really low. Skeledirge has some reasonable bulk, so Skeledirge kind of a soft loss to Licky, but look at all this energy Licky came out with. I mean, this is pretty insane. Lands the Body Slam, and now should be able to shield once and, completely farm down the Venu. And it seems like Yakai's just in a really commanding spot right here. Shields the move, farms down. And they don't really have, I guess like Medi's their hardest punish to Guzzlord. And yeah, man, these Dragon Tails are just going to add up so quickly. This game seems to be very much over. Even though the Lantern wants to avoid this Dragonair, Guzzlord's just going to be able to do so much damage. Oh my gosh. So much damage. One Dragon Breath might snipe, yeah. But now it's so low that Water Gun Lantern can just Water Gun down. That is a G to the G. Quick transition into game number 2, and the 2 dragons face off. Dragon Tail and the bulk of Guzzlord are going to be able to seemingly outpace the damage. You're down a shield now, so suddenly this isn't as comfortable for Frostlass. I could see the opponent going straight for Psychic if they have it, and that's what they do. Now, the opponent could double shield and counter down here if they want. They could double shield and counter down, but they don't. Wow, they call the Avalanche, and they throw a move. Interesting. Ice Punch. Oh, wow, okay. Yakai elected not to throw the move. He elected to farm down himself instead. So Licky up a little bit of energy against this Clod, but Clod is up a shield. Clod actually shields the Body Slam. That's kind of an interesting choice. I feel like shielding Guzzlord's move would do more, but... Not sure why. Does Guzzlord shield here? It does. Do we see the final shield now come up from the Clodsire? We do. This will knock out Guzz. The thing, though, is that Dragonair is so low, I don't know if it gets to a move. And Clodsire's going to need at least double Earthquake just to put this Lickitung low. Oh, going for Sludge Bomb instead? Catches on Dragonair. I honestly don't know if that was a catch or if it was just kind of throwing to not take the Dragon Breath damage. Clodsire's going to need to go for double Sludge here, but I don't think it's going to get there before the Power Whip. Yeah, and this should just about knock out the Clodsire. Power Whip. Now watch me whip. Watch me nay-nay. Game number 3 here against Shiny Lena, by the way, is this trainer that Yakai is playing. Venusaur going to hit the Lickitung, building up to double Body Slam, and then throwing. Licky, 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 can't you see? Lands the body slam. Opponent allows him to get off the second body slam instead of throwing right away. Interesting. And now is going to come in with Skeledirge. Oh, man. If the opponent swaps out, the Skeledirge is going to be so good and back. But this is the mind games. The opponent might be thinking he's trying to bait out something else. And he's got like Lantern in the back. He doesn't have Lantern in the back. He's got a Frostlash in the back. Oh, that is so brutal. That is so brutal. Now the opponent's probably going to have to swap after this. Disarming Voice. Okay, they're just going to let Skeledirge go. I'm interested to see what's in back if the opponent overthought it. Did they even get to it? Oh, they do get to another. Okay. But Lickitung might get the lick down first here. Oh my gosh, it was the Dragonair. Can you imagine? I feel like if the opponent just swapped in the Dragonair, they would have had this. I could be wrong. But sometimes that's a mind game. Your opponent swaps out, and you're thinking from a high-level player, okay, if they're going to switch here, like they definitely have an answer in the back, so I can't just switch as well and then allow them to line up that in the back. So opponent might have overthought it there. But a nice win, by the way. That is 5-0 for Mr. Yakai, and this sets him up in the championship round number 6 with only GBL. A terrific player from Japan, I want to say, if I remember correctly, and also someone I played at Worlds in the first season of Pokemon Go. He is running Medi, Umbreon, Lantern, Superior, Shadow A-Slash, and Charizard. Charizard being kind of the unique pick and a tough lead to start things out. Tough counter swap as well. So Yakai in a difficult scenario here in game number 1. Ice Punch connects. Only can get off one move, so going to go for the Brutal Swing to hit a little bit harder. Now, do you just kind of like sacrifice the Licky here, knowing that it's lined up against Umbreon, and then maybe put it all on Medicham? I think that might be the play. That's what Yakai's going to go for. Medi does get to another move, and going to let it go. It's just an Ice Punch, so it doesn't do very much. Looking for the immediate dip out, and it's Lantern. And although it's not a hard punish to Medi, it's a neutral enough answer where I feel like only GBL might have this in the bag. Going straight for the dynamic here. You are ahead a little bit, and you landed. Oh my god. Oh my god. I think that might flip this. Let's see how this plays out. Only GBL so concerned with the bait there, thinking the bait was so obvious, didn't bother shielding, and now all of a sudden this game is not over by any means. Going for the double Ice Punch bait, gets the double Ice Punch bait, and now I think this Medi's going to be able to land a dynamic punch potentially. Oh my gosh, land the dynamic on CMP. What a brutal turn of events for only GBL, and now this game is going to go in the favor of Yakai. This was very similar to a game I played at Worlds this past season where I essentially had the game in the bag, and it came down to Medi versus Medi. I was up a shield, and I got double power-up punch baited by my opponent. It was such a brutal way to lose, and I was a little bit salty about it, and I apologized to my opponent later. Like, sorry if I seemed kind of upset. I was just really mad at myself for, felt like I threw that game super hard. But credit to Yakai, he played to his win condition in a very negative-looking situation, and he was able to find it. I'm sure only GBL is probably kicking himself upset after that loss. And now Yakai, of course. It seems like every time if you feel like you throw a game away, you just get hard countered the next game. And that's kind of how this one is looking right here. Just completely hard counter City against only GBL. And that's why it's important to try and maximize those games that you should win, maximize those games that you can win, because there are going to be some games that you just can't win. And I think this is one of those games you really just can't win if you're only GBL. Probably going to be willing to commit shields here with the Licky, because there's nothing Sandslash can really do against Medi. So as long as you just get rid of this opposing Medi, you're chilling. Yakai thinking about it, and gets Ice Punch baited, but that's fine. The licks are adding up very quickly. Lickitung chipping away. Now you can probably just let it go since Medi's so low. And Medi, as we all know, we actually see the undercharge. Nice little cheeky play to try and wiggle out of this from only GBL, but it's just not going to be enough to overcome the hard counter. And that is a 3-0 from Yakai. Hold up. What's going on? Maybe that was 2-0? Am I tripping? I think that was 2-0. I'm tripping. And this is game number 3. Okay. Oh, my God. The Sandslash saves... Oh, okay. It was a counter swap. It's a counter swap. He led Lantern into Serp. He pivoted out. And this is the counter swap. I thought the last one was the last game, so I was just totally out of it there for a sec. Licky versus Sandslash, of course, going to be dominant for Powder Snow variant of Sandslash. Drill Run knocks out. I think Ice Punch would have been enough there. So I assume Medi will counter down. Sandslash will have a parting move to chip away at this Medi. So some nice damage there from the Drill Run. And it looks like only GBL will be able to avoid the 3-0 sweep. And looks like he's in a commanding position to win this game 3. So we'll just see how this plays out. Yakai might be kind of conceding here, because that Serperior is still quite healthy, right? Yeah. So that is going to be the end of this tournament run. Yakai goes 6-0 in the Draco Viz APAC preseason regional. And if you guys are looking to get in more practice in the Show 6 Pick 3 format, Draco Viz is a great website to do that. They're not sponsored or anything on this video. They're just a great resource for information and to compete in tournaments. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Congrats to Yakai on the 6-0 tournament sweep. If you did like this content, feel free to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, comment down below, and shout out to Yakai, 6-0 in match play with the Guzzlord. Very impressive. So I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.